Hello and welcome to Wabi Sabi Lifestyle. My name is Anne and I'm so glad you're here. Today we'll be making French fries, but the trick is that they're keto because they're made with coconut flour. I know it's hard to believe, but I've tried every version, that's out there, and this is really my favorite one. So you can find the recipe back on my website at wabisabilifestyle.com. I'll leave the link below. I'll write a blog post going over how I do this, how I make the recipe and all the supplies that I like to use. I have to give a nod to Heavenly Fan. She gave me the idea, the original concept, and I kind of made it my own. So I start out with 1.5 cups of coconut flour. Make sure that yours is free of lumps. Sift it if you have to, because we're not going to use a food processor for this, so you don't want to deal with a bunch of lumps later. Then we have xanthan gum. I don't use this for a lot of recipes, even though I'm gluten-free and grain-free. This is one of the few unicorn recipes that uses 3 teaspoons of xanthan gum. Then you salt to taste. Your flavor from this is going to come from salt and oil because it's from coconut flour. So use quality seasonings. If you want to add Italian seasonings, you can. But to keep this authentic, I'm keeping it very basic, just like a French fry. If I started adding Italian seasoning, it may taste more like a breadstick. And mix it thoroughly so that your xanthan gum is completely integrated into the coconut flour. Then I start adding my warm water. Don't have water that's boiling hot. I know I said hot water, but you just want to activate kind of the flour a little bit with a nice warm water. I don't want you to burn your hands. Add a little at a time. That's why I'm using this little 2 tablespoon measuring cup to add it, because I don't want you just dumping a bunch of water in at once and having a sticky mess. I want to really focus on the fact that you add a little at a time, you mix it in, just like a pie crust if you've ever made pie crust, the old-fashioned kind. You add a little bit of water and a little bit of water until you can finally pull it together into a dough. You want this to be kind of a dry dough. And as it sets for a few moments, it will dry out and it will lose its sticky qualities, okay, that it has right now while you're adding the water. It's still trying to come together. And so once we get it into a nice log shape so that we can press it into the shapes we want and cut it, it'll start to lose that sticky quality. If you add too much water, then it's not going to give you the consistency we want. Not only to cut it into a fry shape and to handle it, but remember, this is going into hot oil. You don't want something with a bunch of water in it going into hot oil. That'll pop and not be a safe situation, and it won't give you a good outcome to your product. Okay, so now I've cleaned my hands, I've gotten rid of the sticky from mixing the dough, and I'm just shaping it. I push it down. Oh, I'm getting a little Easter egg coloring off, because when we dyed eggs for Easter, there was a little bit of color left on this mat. Sometimes I use it to protect my countertops from colors and things like that. Food-based. So I'm getting it down to the exact thickness that I want our fries. We like our fries to be more of a steak fry. I've tried them thinner, and although that's tasty and we really like it, it tends to be not a little floppier and a lot more work, and everybody really enjoys the steak fries, so I just go with it. And so I make a larger fry. I enjoy it that way. But if you like them really thin and you like the little shoestring fries, try it. Let me know how it comes out, and let the community know how you did it to make it successful, that you enjoyed it. We just enjoy it this way. So I'm just showing you what I do. I keep this dough cutter. It's not sharp. I'm showing you it has a dull blade. I don't want to cut my silicone mat or my countertop, and it's really not necessary. I do enough of this that I keep one of these around, and I use it for so many things. To scrape my cutting board, to, oh my gosh, just so many things. And now that I make these French fries, it makes it super easy all the time. Now, I don't use a flexible silicone scraper for this. This is a stainless steel dough scraper, okay? And so while it is rigid, it is not sharp. I just want to point that out. You could do it with a knife, but if you do that, you'll want to use some kind of wax paper or parchment on a cutting board instead of on your nice silicone mat. Okay, I'm taking my time, giving the fries the shape and a uniform size and shape as much as possible. Anyway, that way they cook a little more uniformly. They'll all be finished about the same time. And as I get the last few finished here, I want to give a nod to Heavenly Fan. She's on YouTube. I'll post a link to her video. It's where I got the idea. She did a really good job coming up with this, and I want to give her nods. Now I've preheated my oil. If you don't fry a lot, you need the oil to be a good temperature, but you never want it to smoke. And I know it looks like I'm not being safe, but I'm being very careful. I fry these a lot. Please don't burn yourself, okay? I used a mix of coconut oil, because I know someone's going to ask. I used a mixture of coconut oil, and I happen to have a little duck fat around this time, because we had roasted a duck, and duck fat is just wonderful for frying potatoes with. So I was super curious as to how it would work with these, and it worked nicely. But I mixed it with coconut oil, which I use all the time, which is kind of our all-time champion, because we have access to a nice quality coconut oil, and the price is still somewhat reasonable compared to some of the other healthy fats that we really like. Now I'm cooking these to a nice golden texture, just to the point where they'll be crunchy. We don't want them to be burned, but we also don't want them to be doughy. If we have them get a nice golden crust on the outside, it almost looks like a breaded, like the fries you get that have a little bit of breading on the outside. Again, I know you're thinking breadstick, but I promise you when you taste them, to us and the people we've offered them to, they really did give us a feeling more of French fries, not breadsticks. But if you'd rather have them with marinara and eat them that way, I'm sure to enjoy them. It's just the consistency of the dough is designed to give you that potato-y feeling of the denseness of a fry, not the fluffiness and the raised airiness of a breadstick. So it's heavier than a breadstick. And that's on purpose. That's part of the design. Now these do okay the next day if you don't eat them all the next day. They're not as good, but neither are regular fries. They don't get as kind of floppy and slimy as regular fries do, but they also don't have that fresh crunch that you get the very first day. And I'll be honest, I don't know that we've had many of these left over. Really, everybody kind of gobbles them up. This is the size batch we make, and everyone kind of takes their share, and that's what they take. And as I'm taking these out, I'm cooking mine in 2 batches, so don't try to crowd your oil. Don't try to get them all in one batch if they don't fit. If you have to do 3 batches, go ahead. If you're not used to frying, remember, don't overcrowd. You don't want them to stick together. You don't want them to be up against one another. You want the oil contacting all sides of the food. Also, if you have an air fryer, I have no idea what it will do. I don't have an air fryer. If you want to try it, if you know a lot about them, post below. I'd love to hear how it went. But honestly, I really don't know what it will do to these, considering that they are a dough. Now I've taken out our fries, we've salted them. Now we're gonna make some ketchup. I've got teens in the house, and they want ketchup. But instead of buying the pricey, sugar-free stuff, especially if it says organic on it, the price tag really gets up there, and they don't normally have ingredients that I like. This keeps it simple. I know that we're eating food, and again, everybody really enjoys it in our house. I start out with a high-quality tomato paste. If you make it yourself, that's awesome. I honestly don't grow enough tomatoes to make paste. I add some coconut aminos and a mustard of your choice. We keep spicy brown, but if you have a different kind, just plain yellow mustard, that'll do it too. I add a little stevia because American ketchup is sweet. If that's not what you like, don't add it. I add a little curry or a little garam masala. I've even been known to sneak in a little bit of pumpkin pie spice. I know it sounds weird, but adding those sweet, savory, kind of spicy flavors adds a dimension that people have a difficult time identifying. So play with those flavors, see if it's something you like. I add a little lemon juice and I salt it to taste. Remember, it's a condiment, so it generally has flavor, saltiness, sweetness, and some spice to it, and some complexity of flavors. Without the salt, this is just going to taste like tomato paste. Tomatoes just kind of need salt. And then I adjust it to taste. That's why I didn't say add 1 teaspoon of this or a tablespoon of that, because this is a very personal condiment, and it's really easy to add a little of this, a little of that, until you get what you enjoy. Remember, the full recipe is on wabisabilifestyle.com. Go and enjoy those keto French fries. Have a little bit of a treat if you want the ketchup to add it, or have it with some mayo. It's good too. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and head on over to wabisabilifestyle.com for the full recipe. A final shout out, hey, to our friends over at Heavenly Fan who came up with this initial inspiration for this recipe. You did great. Until next time, we love you. Bye.